try to maintain it. Oh,
Oh, hi.
hi.
Okay.
So now you're recording me.
So now we're recording. This is great.
All right. You didn't get that last part in, right?
No, I don't think so.
Right. All right.
No, I get that after. That's
Okay,
okay.
good,
We're
good.
having a fun conversation.
Yes.
So you are
I am Hope Kerr.
Hope Kerr. I love it. Okay, Hope Kerr, tell me where you are from and how you got into sugar gliders.
All right. Well, I'm originally from Minnesota, and then I went and lived in California for 2 years. I
Different.
just up and decided I was going to quit college and go live the California dream.
Wow.
I lasted a year, and I ended up moving to Chicago. And when I got to Chicago, I went to a pet store, and they had sugar gliders. And so this was, I was 23, and I'm in my 40s. So that was probably 20 years ago that I got my first glider.
Oh my God.
And yeah, and so I did everything wrong, like as wrong as you can do. Like they were in a cage. It was me and a friend, and they were in a boy and girl in a cage together. And she wanted to have a glider at her house, and I wanted a glider at my house. So we separated the pair. So we each had one glider. It was awful. Now what I know, I feel so bad. And then, so I did everything I was told. Like I had a leash, right? I had my clothing in the cage to try and get him to like me. He hated me. I mean, hated me. And now when I look back on it, it's everything I did for him to hate me. And so the pet store guy told me, well, carry him around in one of the bags that he had suggested. And so I did all that. And then one day I left him at home, and I came home and he had passed away. And he passed away because of an unsafe pouch. He dug into the center of the pouch, got the strings wrapped around his neck, and he actually hung himself in the pouch. And so it was the most traumatic thing. I mean, I was sobbing. I called my friend, and my friend was like, I'm like sobbing on the phone. And he was like, are you okay? Did something happen? I'm like, oh, your glider died. And I was just frantic. And so I explained what happened, and I was like, this is the only time he let me pet him. And I was just petting him because he never let me touch him. And I was just crying because I knew that it was something that could have been prevented. And so I went about 7-8 years without a sugar glider because I just felt like, wow, I completely ruined this glider. You know, I'm not even worthy of it. So I was running a pet sitting business in Chicago, and one of my clients I was pet sitting for, their son had 2 gliders. There were 2 boys that he had for 7 years. And he was going off to college, and he didn't want to take care of the gliders anymore. It was like, I can't take him to college with me. My parents don't want to take care of him anymore. Can you please just take him? So I was like, okay, you know, I guess I'm getting back into gliders. So the first night, of course, I took him that day. They didn't want to give me the cage. So I used the cage I had on hand and wrapped it with hardwire cloth, right? Because it was a Ferret Nation cage. Well, then that night, I thought I got it all, but I had a feeling I didn't do one side enough. I heard this little noise, and my cat had gotten a hold of the glider that got out. There were 2 boys who were 7 years old, and it wasn't even like a death bite. It was just one bite right on the side of his skin. And I quick yelled, Kalua, and he dropped him, and I grabbed him, and within seconds, he passed away in my hand. So it's like, I don't deserve gliders. Like, it was the worst 2 gliders of my life. And so I had a breakdown, and I had Leonard still left. And I went on Facebook, because back when I first had gliders, they didn't have Facebook. I didn't even have internet back then. And so I went on Facebook, and I was looking up sugar gliders, and I happened to come across a lady by the name of Tammy. So I reached out to her, and I told her what happened. I called her. She was really sweet. And she was like, all right, Hope, here's what you got to do. And she's like, you got to quit crying, because I just felt awful. And so she gave me a quick rundown And then I just was like, all right, I can do this. And she told me, whatever happens, you put the need of the glider before your emotions. And so I went out and I got him a buddy. I got both of them neutered, and I just started at ground zero of what not to do, you know? So it wasn't a good start. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
That
So
is such, I cannot thank you enough for sharing that story, because I'm sure that's a horrible story to share.
yeah, it's really sad. I mean, I just remember sitting on the couch crying and petting this dead sugar glider, saying, this is the only time he let me touch him. You know, it was awful. And so having the second one die, and I was like, what am I even doing? You know, it was terrible. And so I try to use my experiences as a stepping stone for someone else who may have started out crappy like I did. And you can help through your experiences turn that person around and be like, no, listen, we can do this. You just got to take a few steps back and let's relook at it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You are like an inspiration that you'll share that. Because me,
Yeah.
like, my beginning was rough, and I'm embarrassed to say the things that I did at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just embarrassed, like, because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, and I think that
but you're just like amazing. Like, you are such an inspiration. Like, you're gonna be like, somebody's gonna be like, oh my gosh, I can get a mentor. Like,
yeah. Well, and I think it's what you said. When it all was happening, I was horribly embarrassed. You know, like, to me, it was like, you know, God is telling me don't do this. But then I had this other little body that I still needed to take care of. So it's like I had to put all my stuff off to the side and say, either I give this glider up, or I sit down and really figure this out. And, you know, the first glider, my friend, her female ended up passing away from seizures. And I think it's because back then the diet that we were given, it wasn't what they needed, you know. And so she passed away at about 2 years old, and my boy passed away at about 1 year old. So it's like, I know so many people start out in such a wrong way that the only thing I can do is say, I've been there, and this is what we can do to work together to help you, so you don't go through the same stuff I went through.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is embarrassing to tell, but I can't hide it. You know, I can't change it. I can just do better.
You are amazing.
It was awful.
I cannot believe that. That's mortifying.
Yeah.
I would be traumatized too.
Yeah. Well, that's sad. That's why I stress safe pouches so much, is because I learned what happens if you don't have a safe pouch. I had to cut the strings away from his neck. You know, it was awful. So that's why when I tell people, make sure you have safe products, I'm not saying it to be mean or to have you spend money where you don't want to spend money. I'm saying it because this happens.
Yeah.
And, you know, you just have to be realistic.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Wasn't a happy story.
So when did you find the Sugar Glider Guardians? Like, how did that come about?
I probably found them maybe 3, 4, maybe, I don't know. Time flies. I can't even keep up with time. I don't even know how old I am. It's just weird, because it's like every day is just another day. But I would probably say maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5. I'm not really sure. I don't even know when they started. I know it was one of the first groups I started in, because I was trying to follow what not to do, you know what I mean, and what to do. So that one, and then there was another group I joined. So I don't really know how long it's been. It's been a long time though.
Okay.
And then
somebody come to you and ask you to mentor? Or did you, like, how did that all go about?
For mentoring, I think I might have asked them if I could be a mentor. I don't really see what I mean. I've got a terrible memory.
Me too.
I don't really remember. I remember I'm in Texas now, and I do remember that I was in Texas when I was on the phone answering questions about what it takes to be a mentor. So it's been about 3 years that I've been a mentor, 2, 3 years. And so I don't remember how that happened. I feel like I might have reached out and said, hey, is there anything I can do to help or be a mentor? And then they gave me a big list of things and talked to me and to see how I would handle situations. So I don't know if they reached out to me, but I feel like I might have reached out to them to say, hey, because my name wasn't really known. You know what I mean? So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what would you say? Well, shoot, I could probably guess this one, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What would you say your specialty areas are?
Well, I kind of do it all. I do a lot of documentation on my Facebook page about medical issues.
Oh, wow.
I'm really big on anything that we do or that I do here. I want someone else to learn from. So I document almost everything medical that goes on. I've had things happen where I had a glider get stuck on a glue trap. That resulted in a vet visit. I documented that. I've had dental issues and dental extractions. My vet is awesome. And so he actually like gives me the teeth and like, I had a tail amputation. He goes, well, here's the tail. And he gives it to me. He's like, I know you like to do videos. So,
My
you know,
gosh.
yeah, he's a real cool guy. But it helps me to, because even though I can't be in the operating room with him, he likes to like make sure I know what's going on. So,
Gosh.
so I try to teach people what I learned from what happens with my gliders. And then I've had
I have been so lucky compared to you.
yeah, I'm telling you, things happen.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like God feels sorry for me. Like it's like God only gives you what you can handle. So like I get way less stuff than a lot of people.
No, he just uses you in other ways.
Does he feel sorry for me? Because like I'm pretty lucky. I think that things happen to me and then I hear things like your stories and I'm just over here mortified.
Yeah. Some people have a much easier start. And like even with medical and that kind of stuff, my first dental issue was a glider who was sent to me. And the person I got him from didn't know that there was dental. And then when I got the glider, they had already been missing. It was a younger glider, like I thought it was about 2.5, but it was about 4. But they had already been missing about a third of the teeth.
Wow.
And the stress of doing the move, I was like, man, this glider's got a watery eye. It's just continuous. So we did eye drops. We were like, well, maybe the boy like scratched her. We're trying to figure it out. Well, it turned out it was all dental. And it took about 8 months of constant, like every couple months going to the vet until almost all the teeth were removed. And one of the reasons why my vet is so cool is he'll actually reach out to try and get help. Like he did her bottom teeth. And those are the ones where a lot of vets have actually accidentally broken the jaw while trying to remove them. So he was like, Hope, I don't feel comfortable doing this today. I need the weekend. I need to reach out to some people. I need to figure this out before I'll do it. Then we'll go back on Monday when I feel confident in it. So it's really a team effort, you know, and I had a glider that was neutered and he actually received a flash burn. And so I went through the medical of doing that. So I try to really document anything medical going on because even though it happened to me, it's probably going to happen to someone somewhere down the line.
Jeez,
the guy survived, and you know.
Well, shoot, I know I'm gonna be reaching out to you more just to hear more of your stories, and I definitely want to check out your Facebook page. So if you wouldn't mind messaging that to me, I'll include that in this video so anybody that wants to read it can. I know that if they're watching this right now, for me, one way I found out about the dental, because I had one that lasted 16 years. That was my
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, he was my first. I loved him so much.
Wow.
His belly was wet. Started about 14 years old. They started getting a wet belly. And that's when we learned about his teeth. That's how I started learning about it, the dental, because he was like wet.
Wow.
Belly. And I was like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't figure out what's going on. He was losing weight. Like I was giving him like soft food because he was like not eating, and I was giving him the glider crack, and I was trying to make sure he had water, and I couldn't figure it out, and the vet couldn't figure it out until we finally looked in his mouth.
Yeah. Well, and see, and that's what's so interesting is that your symptoms were opposite of mine. Mine has never had wet belly. They had like a dirty bottom and then the watery eyes and then the sneezing, but
Yeah.
I've never had like a wet, dirty belly. So
Yeah,
it's amazing how
because see, I didn't attribute it to him licking it. He was licking to clean. He would lick, and he would like clean himself. Well, that they said the infection
was put
like,
onto the belly.
He was putting it on there because it was so bad. So,
oh wow!
And he was old AF.
That's amazing. 16 years.
So old. So old.
Wow. Well, wonderful. What a blessing.
It was a blessing. That was one that I would cry over again. He's amazing.
For sure. Yeah.
So wow. How are you being used in this life in a great way? Yeah. So now you still have cats or dogs or
okay, so I do have dogs. All my animals are seniors. My dogs are and they're 11, 12. And so I do have a cat, but I keep the cat in a separate room. It's actually enclosed. She's not the friendliest. My cat who killed gliders passed away when I moved to Texas. He had kidney failure and we didn't think he was going to make the move to Texas. And he actually lived for a couple months after. It was like he waited to make sure I was okay here. And so it was really sad because, you know, he was 14 and it was my cat. But it was hard though, because I was mad at him for killing things. You know, he'd get outside and he'd kill rabbits and he'd bring them home and I'll be like, why? You know?
Yeah, stop it. I love you. Stop it.
Yeah. And it's like, you killed something I love. You know what I mean? So it was hard to get over that emotional thing, but it was his instinct. He was such a hunter. It didn't matter. He was trained to go to the bathroom on the toilet and he was so well behaved, but he just couldn't break that habit. So I had to learn how to accept that. And I had to alter what I did with my gliders to protect my gliders. Yeah. So now I have a cat who is in a room. I built a room for her because if a glider ever gets out, I don't want there to be a way that cat would ever get the glider. So I had to adjust my life to be able to fit what it takes to have gliders.
I like that. I'm putting that down. Because like when I do the little blurb, I like to put a little things based on something you said. I like this. I put, it's up to you to alter your actions to protect those who cannot protect themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I chose to have a cat, so I chose to have gliders. So I need to make the alterations to protect both of them. You know, I don't want to be mad at my cat because it does something that's instinct for him. And then I don't want to put my glider's life in danger. It's just any cat that have ever known to have contact with a glider where the glider was bit or scratched, everyone I know of has passed away at some point. So I work extra hard to try and make sure that never happens again.
Right. Well, that's good. So what do you think? I like to call us glider slaves. So what do you think is the most important thing you've learned being a glider slave?
That something that is important for me or a certain way I do something doesn't mean that somebody else has to do exactly what I do. I think that a lot of times our expectations are either too high or too low when we can all kind of meet in the middle and find a medium ground. Just because I do something that may be a little more over the top than someone else, it doesn't mean what they're doing is wrong. It just means that, you know, I don't have children. I have bonus children. So I do tend to spoil my gliders a little more than someone who may have children and have other things going on in their life. But I understand that. And I think that I work really hard at making sure that that people don't feel like they have to do it my way or no way, because that's not the reality.
Right. I think we could all use that in all areas of our lives.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We kind of live secluded. We have a homestead, so we don't have a lot of human interaction. So when we have human interaction, it's with our neighbors or with like just random people that we see, or if people are coming here to meet me. So I try to embrace that small amount of interaction I can have and really take from it what I can.
Right. You're so interesting, I tell you.
I'm a weirdo.
Man, you know, Sandra and someone else, oh, why am I blanking on his name? Wanted me to start doing this, and I did not realize like how much I would get from it. Like getting to meet all of you. It's so cool.
Well, that's cool. I like watching them. So
yeah, they're fun.
I get to see what everybody else is kind of doing in their life. And, you know, it's not everyday interactions that I get to have, or even people who are part of my everyday life. So when I get to watch it, I'm like, oh, well, that's real neat.
Yeah.
So even you, I didn't know you until you messaged me. And then when I see videos and I'm like, she's always so smiley. Like, that's fantastic.
I can't help it. It won't go away. That's why I have all these lines. This is
yeah, so it's
fun. Yeah. Okay, what is one piece of advice you give other glider owners?
It sounds kind of mean, but my thing is quit being so nosy on what everybody else is doing and focus on yourself and what you're doing. And I don't mean that mean, but I do mean it. But and so,
Go ahead.
Oh, it's just, you know, we spend so much time like poking at people when we don't need to be. We can just be like, all right, cool. I've suggested this. You don't want to take it. All right. You know, it's like, we just have to focus on what we do and help the ones who are willing to be helped, because our time is valuable and it's for free. So I want someone who freely accepts what I'm putting out there.
And sometimes, because I know when I first jumped on the internet to check out stuff for mine, I felt attacked. And I'm a little stubborn. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
So if someone comes at me, my first reaction is F you.
Yep.
Or I'm just not doing that because you're talking down to me. Or, you know, I just immediately like, so I think sometimes even when we say things, if we say it in a constructive way, because you can say anything you want, it's how you say it. I think that person does hear it. And you might correct it, just not in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes, like, because when someone came at me the first time, oh, your glider can't be alone. I was like, you know, what are you doing? You're like making him suffer and all this stuff. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, don't attack me. Like, that's how I reacted. But then when I stepped back for a second, I was like, they're right. I never went back and told them they were right, but my little butt slept downstairs until I got him a friend. Like with him, I slept down on the couch for 6 months, and till I was sure that him and all the other ones were good.
Yep. Like, I think you're right in saying how people come towards you. Like for me, if I have someone who, you know, how they tag you as, can you mentor so-and-so? So one of the first things I do is I say, hey, I hear you're looking for a mentor. So how about you tell me where you're at? Yes. Can you send me a video of the gliders and a video of your cage setup so I can see where you're at? And then we can kind of go from there. Because if I can see what you're doing or what you have, it tells me, all right, which out of this section is probably the most important to focus on. Right. Because if I'm focusing on someone who needs a better wheel, but then it turns out that they're on a terrible diet, you know what I mean? It helps me kind of say, well, can you alter this? And in the meantime, order a wheel. You know what I mean? It helps me to figure out where they're at, where they don't feel like they're being attacked. What's your diet? What kind of wheel do you use? What kind of pouch do you have? Do you have one or two? Are they intact? It just makes them feel like, you know? When if you just kindly say, send me a video, let me know where you're at and what you need help with. Right. And it opens the doors for them to want to interact.
Right. And I think sometimes even Facebook Messenger.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually like to talk to them on the phone. I find that because we have a homestead, so we've got like chickens and goats and ducks and all that stuff. So I usually just put my phone on speakerphone and shove it in my sports bra, and I go do my farm chores while talking to someone.
Yeah.
Because if I can talk to someone and hear the sound of their voice and hear the concerns that they have or the excitement they have, that helps me to know where they're starting at and what I can possibly do to help them out. Plus, I don't like being like this. I'm not a type of person. I don't have time for it. And I care about who I'm talking to. So if I can talk to you on the phone, I prefer that.
And I feel like sometimes inflection is lost.
Absolutely.
Because you can say, well, you really need to, let's talk, we really need to talk about diet. But it might, if they're in a bad mood, they might think that sounds attacky, but you're really just saying, hey, I think we really need to talk about diet.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Sound of the tone of your voice really makes a difference. Yeah, absolutely.
So do you sell any glider related stuff?
I do.
You do?
I do. So
right. What is that?
Obviously, we all know why. But I do make bonding pouches, bonding scarves, and bonding slings. And I had some dental work done, so I have a retainer, so I kind of talk funny still. But so I do bonding products that I try to customize to each individual person. And then I do make sleep pouches, but they're different. Mine are more of they're open environment, but they're a little bit different. They're
do you have
like,
any?
It's hard to explain it, but
show us? Do you want to show us?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you want to show us?
Let me grab one real quick. Hold on. Oh, I got one right here. All right, I just washed it. So this is what it is.
Okay.
So my goal is that the glider sees you coming before you're reaching your hand in, because when you're working with new gliders and you reach your hand in, it's like, you know, these big scary hands coming in. So this is my pouch. I had to rename it twice already, and it still has no name because apparently I choose names that everybody else already had. But this is it. It hangs up. And so I have videos and pictures of the glider, how it pokes its head out here so it sees everything you're doing. So I can be cleaning the cage and the heads poke out. I had a glider that had a cone on, and it was actually in this pouch. And all you see is a big cone and the glider head right here. So easy for the glider to be able to see everything you're doing. So that way, when you pull it down or reach in, they're not crabbing at you or freaking out because they already know that you're coming. So this is one of my older versions of it. So, but yeah.
Now those scarves back there, I've had a hard time with those.
It really varies on the person. Some people, I have alopecia, so that's why I have like white, black, bald spots. It's part of my disorder. And so I had to create different things to be able to bond with my gliders, because when I have really bad alopecia, I can be bald and I'll have to go to wearing wigs. And so it kind of messes with your self-esteem. But then when you're wearing wigs, the scarf actually causes your wig to mat up in the back. And so it's uncomfortable because now you got snarls in a wig and you're feeling gross. So with the scarf, it really varies on each person. I do make a sling because some people don't like, especially in Texas, it's really hot right now. So people get more of the slings because the sling hangs like right here. And if you wanted to, you could double it up and turn it into a scarf. Or when it comes to interacting, you just set it in your lap, zipper it open, and then just play with them. So it's a little less swingy than a bag. I do make bags and I love them, but it's really what an individual thing. Some people love them. Some people are like, it's not my thing. But that's why I carry the bags. That's why I carry little ones that can go in your bra. And then I carry the scarves. So that way it kind of caters to the different groups of people and what their preferences are. And then after the first time you buy something from me, like let's say you bought a scarf and you didn't like the texture of this material. Well, we have it on, Messenger, what kind of scarf that was. So I'd go for something that's maybe a little softer and more silky feeling. So that way I was able to kind of see what it is that you like.
Wow, that's so cool.
So everybody's different, and that's the thing. Some people have big chests, some have small chests. That's why I do small, medium, large. Some people like it sitting up here so it's not flopping around. Some people like it down here so they can wear it to work and it looks like it's professional, you know?
Right.
So everybody's so different.
That's so cool. I'll definitely be checking out your site. Don't forget to send me your link.
I'll do that.
You will do
I
that.
do a lot of live videos. I try to document everything to help people out. And that's one of the things too, is if I'm mentoring someone and they're really just getting started, I'll send them to my Facebook page and I'll say, I'll help you with your questions, but watch some of the videos and see if that helps you out, like cage cleaning. You know, a lot of people are like, my cage is so beautiful and clean. I'm like, look at my poopy cage. This is how I clean it, you know, so that way people can see easy ways of doing things so that way it can be maintained.
Love that. That's really cool. Now, do you have a favorite place to buy like toys and stuff, or do you make those too?
I don't. I can, I just don't want to. I don't have time to do all that kind of stuff. So I have a few vendors who I absolutely adore, and I don't know if, I know they're approved vendors, but I don't know if it's like Guardian approved vendors. So am I able to say who they are, or?
Sure, yeah.
Well, Spoiled Rotten Sugies is one of my favorites. And so she makes super cute things. I actually have one. Do you want me to show you real quick to tell you why I like it? Okay, I'll be right back. So those who know me know I have multiple gliders, and I am all about matching my cage sets. I make my cage sets because I'm kind of picky about which ones I like. And so what I do is I send her pictures of the ones I like or that I made, and she designs toys to match exactly what the cage set looks like. So that way my colors are all pretty. And so this one matches one of them. And then this is one I just got. But I like everything matching just because if I have to look at it, I want to enjoy it. Gliders don't care. But with her toys, they're like all decked out. So this goes across the whole cage. But my gliders are huge into pulleys. Like every day I wake up and they got their pulleys sitting right inside their pouch. And so it's a very interactive toy, and it's kind of, you know, it's huge. And so it's really fun. They like to chew on it, and, you know, so that's one of my favorites. Just because there's so much for the gliders to do. All you hear is like clink, 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 clink all night, because they're interacting with those and pulling them in. And the next morning you got their tail carriers, so they bring them into their pouch. So I love that kind of stuff. And I like toys that have natural woods on them, whether it be the coconut rinds or the bark, the cork, and then apple wood. So I try to keep it with vendors who do a lot of the natural stuff, and then with Spoiled Rotten Sugies.
I love it.
Cage sets I like to, I'm really into Linda Rollins. I don't know why I'm blanking. I think it's because I'm on like talking about it, but she makes really cute fanny packs, and she does really good cage sets. And so a lot of times I do suggest her to other people. Even though I make my own cage sets, I do still buy them from her.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have one glider you would like to highlight right now?
Well, everybody knows Little Man. Little Man is the glider that I hand raised. I haven't had any rejected Joeys for a long time. And I raised Little Man, and that was really hard. I documented almost every single day of raising him, because I don't have the experience of having rejected Joeys. And so being able to hand raise one from the jump start, I felt like I need to document this so that way I can help someone else, and then people can follow how to do it if it ever happens. And it's hard. It's terrible. It's hard. It's defeating. And it's amazing that I raised him from 5 days old, 5 days out of pouch, all the way up until now. And so it was terrible. You don't sleep. I don't know how people do it. And so I have the experience of it. I've mentored a lot that have helped people, but to actually be up every 2 hours, I mean, it drains you. I had to do IV fluids on him. I had to, I never bought a gram scale that like measures down to like half a gram. So I'm like going to these stores looking for a gram scale that measures like that I don't go to. And I'm like, it's all because of my glider. I need to do it. So I really had to step outside of my comfort zone to take care of something that was smaller than the size of my thumb.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. How old is he now?
I don't know. Time flies. He's probably 5 months, 4 or 5 months. Wow. But people always message me and they're like, why don't you do little man updates? And I'm like, I can do it. Like,
so,
yeah, but he's a sweetie. And, he's just, it was hard. It was very hard.
But I bet you're super close to him.
I am, but now he kind of likes to jump and, every night though, he does come to the front of the cage. I could probably grab him. I have him out here in one of my temporary cages if you want me to.
Yeah, that's great. I always love to see gliders.
In this room, there's like no walls. We're still building out, so he could take off for the rafters, but we'll see. Sorry about that, but I grabbed this while I was grabbing him. This was his little stuffed animal. He's a little octopus. I believe someone by the name of Rachel makes these bonding buddies. So this was what he used the whole time that I was raising him. But there he is.
Oh, hi, little man.
Yeah, and he's so pretty. He's got this little white tip tail, and he's had that since day. But yeah, so it was interesting. I had tried to have mothers foster him, and 2 mothers tried, and it didn't work out. They didn't eat him. I watched very carefully, but they were like, no, I don't want to. And so after the second mom, I was like, well, I guess I got to do this. So those 2 moms bridged me to being able to do it, because I think the first 2 days, he was only 3 days out of pouch. So I would have probably lost him if it wasn't for the other 2 moms who helped out. The dads groomed him, and like they took over, and they were like, we don't want him. So yeah, but this is him, and he's amazing. I don't know if he'll go on my shirt or not. Not that I should be showing my boobies, but he's amazing, and he's just been an amazing part of. People watched everything with him, and I think that helps when people are stuck in situations. I was doing 2 a.m. feedings. I was wearing my bathrobe, and I was still doing a live video so that way people could see. I couldn't get him to get on a scale because he didn't understand, so I had to weigh this and put him on top of this. So I had to do so many different things to see what would work, and I just really think that it doesn't always go the same way, and it's a blessing. It was an honor to be able to do it, but I hope to never have to do it again.
Yeah, he's beautiful.
Yeah, and so you want to go in? I don't know. So yeah, this is him.
You're like me, you kind of let them make their decisions versus kind of forcing them to do stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think as he got older, he was like, I don't want to be, I'm in Texas. You know how we can get sweaty, and I wear a sports bra, and he was like, I do not want to be down your shirt.
Yeah.
Like, no way. So yeah, so he just hangs out. Sometimes he'll jump, other times he won't. I mean, I just kind of let him do what he wants to do, and he lets me know when he wants to spend time with me. He'll come straight up to the cage, and I just grab him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think personality-wise that he's any different than gliders that you would just purchase from someone else, though. I feel like he's still a glider, and I don't know if he necessarily recognizes me as his mom. I think I'm just a human who interacts with him sometimes, And so ones I've purchased have been just as friendly as him, or have gotten to be just as friendly as him. So the only difference is that it was hard. So, but yeah, so this is my little man.
I love him.
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay. So I guess we're at the point of the rapid fire questions.
Ooh, okay.
Yay. What's the last book you read?
You know, I watched videos to find out what kind of questions you'd ask. And honestly, I was like, I'm unprepared. I don't even know how to use Zoom, let alone be able to answer questions. So I've thought about this, and I don't really read because I'm always doing stuff. Yeah. But the last book that I actually sat down and read was, I don't know the name of it, but the overall of it was it was a husband and wife, and it's a true story. The wife started believing in Jesus, and the husband felt as though it was false. So he spent years trying to disprove that Jesus ever existed. And by the end of the book, he was a Christ follower. He was like, I've gone through all these lengths to prove that Jesus didn't exist, and the only thing I know is Jesus existed. And so that was the last book I read. I read it about 2 years ago. Wow. And I actually sent that to a couple of friends who were having some hard times, because to me, it was just such a beautiful book of someone who didn't believe, and at the end was like, how can you not believe, you know? Right. And so I just thought it was beautiful. So that's the last one I read. Okay. All right.
And you know, that means, you know what this means? This means I'm gonna have to switch my questions up.
Okay.
I just kind of.
Done it.
One movie comes on TV and you'd watch it over and over again. What is it?
Well, I don't really watch TV. I like comedies. I love Ben Stiller movies and David Spade movies. I don't know why. They just crack me up. So any of those kind of like dumb, stupid movies, I'll sit and watch. It doesn't matter what it is.
That's funny. Best advice you were ever given.
What's the what?
Best advice you were ever given.
My grandpa always told me, hope you do what makes you happy. And I think it's because he trusted me and he trusted what kind of person I was. So I think finding happiness and finding joy in your life is really important. It's going to be different for every single person. And what that joy is, something that brings me happiness and joy may not bring you happiness and joy. So I think it's a personal thing. And, you know, I try to live by being happy and being joyful.
Aww. Yeah. When you're gone, what do you want to be remembered for?
I hope that people know that by the way I treat them, that I'm a Christ follower, because I think that you know, forgiveness, kindness, love, no matter what someone's going through in their life, it doesn't make them any less than a person. And I just want people to, when they think of me, I want people to think of kindness and being a person who does show forgiveness, even if people don't deserve it, or they feel people don't deserve it. Everybody deserves it. So.
You're so nice. I love it.
No.
Okay, so now I'm going to do my little blurb.
Okay.
I'm highlighting Hope Kerr. Did I say that right?
You did.
Don't forget to visit her page. What is that page called?
It's Hope's Happy Homestead, but Facebook won't let me change the name, so it may come up as my old business name, AbFab Pet. I don't know why.
Hope's Happy Homestead. And then what is the new name? I mean, the old name.
What is the new name is Hope's Happy Homestead, but Facebook made me keep my old name, so it's AbFab Pet.
AbFab Pet. Okay, and then you'll send me the link.
Sure, yeah.
And if you don't have a mentor, you would like one, please reach out to one of the admins. If you're looking for information, don't forget we have information in the file section of our page. As always, happy gliding, be safe, have an amazeballs day.
Bye.